So in terms of the dollar, we've been pretty bearish. We've been falling since NFP pretty much was the first of August. So price has been pretty bearish, but I am looking for a higher low potentially. And as I've been speaking about for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, this is an area which I'm quite interested for a buy. I said I'm either looking for a strong double bottom at this level as price returns to support, or perhaps a strong break of this counter trend line, or basically this descending channel. At the moment, we kind of don't have neither. Maybe somewhat, we're seeing the signs of maybe a double bottom could form, but I'm not seeing anything of conviction, anything of strength, of high levels of momentum, which is really what I'm looking for at this area, because we are still bearish, and for all I know, we could continue falling lower. We don't have to see some upside from this area. So if I want to take a buy, I want to be fairly confident that USD is about to do something like this, and I'm not fairly confident with that idea or that move at the moment. So whether we do get a break of this trend line or maybe a strong rejection at the low here, that's kind of what I'm looking for to invite me into not necessarily buying the DXY. I don't trade the DXY, but that will show me signs that, okay, the dollar is likely to see some upside against other currencies. So maybe some shorts in euro, longs in dollar CAD, or maybe some shorts in pound USD could look good. My favorite USD pair at the moment is EURUSD, which we'll take a look at in a moment. But that's really what I'm waiting for the DXY to give me the green light to actually go and trade the other USD majors. So that's very much the plan. And in terms of targets, I'm looking at this as the initial target. And if things go very, very well, perhaps a push all the way to the swing high at 100.160. That's if you really do see that bullish swing. But for now, this is still bullish territory for me. I'm keeping a very close eye on the buys. If we take a look at EURUSD, which is again pretty much the same analysis, just flipped, we're approaching a nice area of consolidation, which of course gave us this very strong move to the downside. Now price is approaching this ascending channel. Again, I'm looking for the same characteristic, either a really strong double top, which we were seeing some signs of that. You can see price formed a high there, came back to retest it. A nice rejection, not quite enough to get me interested. I want to see a slightly stronger candle, or maybe some more wicks to the upside to really show me that, okay, we're really rejecting this area well. Because again, double tops, double bottoms are frequent patterns in the market, but certain characteristics and behaviors will separate really high quality double top and double bottom patterns and lower quality double top and double bottom patterns. And trading is always about quality over quantity. We're not trading crazy patterns. We're not doing anything that's never been done before on the chart. We're doing things that have been done for numerous decades, but we're doing them well. That's the key. That's the key component we're looking at. And double tops are frequent, and as a result, you want to be very picky and choosy of which patterns you trade. This does have the making of a double top. Test the resistance twice. That's essentially what we're looking for. But the rejection is not quite enough for me. So either we come back into the high again, reject it some more, and reject it even better, or perhaps that momentum kicks in and maybe a strong break of the counter trend line. That's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of entries. But same idea as the DXY, looking for a push into this low initially, and if things really get going, a push all the way to the swing low. So that's why I like Euro. I like how corrective we are. It looks like we're slowing down. We're testing a major level of supply, and there's a lot of room to the downside if things really do play out. We're looking at a pretty big drop there for Euro, and of course at least a push to that support level there. So I'm going to keep a close eye on EURUSD this week. Pound USD, not my favorite USD pair. As I said, Euro definitely is, and by quite some distance. So if I do take a dollar trade this week, it's probably going to be on EURUSD. But equally, Pound USD is still respecting structure. This is our lower high equivalent, which gave us this low. So technically speaking, as long as price doesn't break through this high, I still do retain that bearish bias. I am still pretty bearish on pound, and I do think we can see some more downside, but I wouldn't be so optimistic. This is a pretty big pullback. I was looking at 2 key levels to short pound USD the past couple of weeks. This level being 1, didn't see much rejection there, and this trend line being 2, saw slight rejection there, but not enough to take a position, and we've broken through both of those confluences. So pound's been pretty strong. I think if we do see some downside, I'll be quite conservative. I think this could be a nice initial target for the trade. Let's see if price can push back into the highs, reject well, another strong reaction, that could be a nice entry signal. Take it back into this area, maybe back into the lows here. It is a pretty key level, so that could be a nice target for the trade. Of course, if things go very well, there's the possibility of a swing all the way back down there. But again, that's kind of more hoping and guessing. Maybe price does make that move, maybe we don't. A push into these areas a bit more realistic. We can be a bit more confident about those levels. You can always trail stops and see how far the trade goes. But I will be prepared to exit trades if things are not looking too good in these areas. If we're seeing some rejection, it looks like some bullish strength is coming back into the market. But for now, the focus is this level at 1.385. Let's see if we can reject it. If we do it well, I think shorts look good. If we do break through, then that's the bearish bias completely over. We've broken structure. Then we'll probably talk about some pullbacks and more upside beyond that. So the focus really now is to see if we can get another clear rejection of the highs and get some shorts off the back of that. And we've got a few targets to aim for. Dollar CAD I quite like. I really like the close we had on the daily chart on Thursday. I think it was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Thursday last week. Again, this was a pretty critical level I've had my attention on for quite some time now. We've got support over here once, resistance there, and again, potentially acting as support there as well. And of course, a very strong candle close on Thursday. So I'm liking the move back to highs here. I think we can go even further than that, especially if USD does become pretty strong. But as long as price stays above this area, I'm bullish. I'm looking at this being the next higher low. So that's our impulse. That's our pullback, higher low. I'm looking for a push at least back to the prior high. But again, if things go, if USD does really gain some strength, then probably looking more so at this area. But for now, at least for this week anyway, we're probably at least discussing a push to 1.386. So going forward with dollar CAD in terms of opportunities, because I don't imagine many of us are looking to take trades on the daily time frame. If you are, I would say that's a nice daily candle. The only problem with it is that you're running into some issues in terms of risk to reward. You got resistance just above you there. You're probably not even looking at a 1-to-1 0.65. So I wouldn't really say it's worth the position. Let's say if you're risking $100 on that trade, you're only making 65 back. Again, it's not really an issue in terms of one trade out of many, but if you do that time and time again, it's going to really impact your risk to reward. So in terms of trying to improve that, I did suggest an opportunity if we come lower, which looks like it might be starting to take shape. If we can pull back into the zone again, possibly see another higher low, I think this could be a smart location to take a trade. And of course, that should really help out in terms of the risk to reward. I think initial targets, yeah, back at resistance here, formed a bit of a double top there. That could be an area of friction. Might want to stay aware of that level. But if we can break through that, could be looking at push back to the high. And that's probably where your 1-to-2s, 1-to-3 risk to reward, maybe even higher, if you can really refine the entry, comes into play. So this is really what I'm looking at for dollar CAD. More upside, hopefully a bit of a pullback to start the week off. And hopefully we finish up the week around 1.386. If we do break through, that's why I do scrap the bias. I don't want to see price do that. If price does break through, that's a big no-no at that point. I might want to rethink my bias there with dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, I quite like the buys, sells for this one as well. I do think more downside is the likely move. Again, I'm looking at this ascending channel, which we've recently broken out of. Looks like to me that price is really struggling to break back above. If that's the case, then perhaps a move back to this low makes sense. And maybe even further as well. I think at least for this week anyway, a push there is pretty realistic, especially if we can crack support there. So I quite like what I'm seeing in terms of the short idea. In terms of entries, I'm looking more so around here, sort of coming back into this area of supply there, as well as testing some resistance on our left, somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern. Left head, right shoulder. I think that'll be a smart place to find an entry. Definitely get some stops above the high, and then perhaps a push back into the low. I think also a nice trade would be, especially if you're a bit more intraday, is waiting for this support level to break. I think if we can break through that support level well, that will be a very strong signal to say that, okay, we probably are going to head to these lows here, so you can find some intraday pullbacks along the way. I think you're looking pretty good on the way back to lows at 0.642. So I'll be pretty bearish with Aussie. I am pretty bearish with Aussie already, but I'll be very, very bearish if support here breaks, especially if you break it well, with some nice momentum, and then yeah, a push to the prior low will be my next bet for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar is in similar shape. We're seeing also bearish pressure coming to the market, more so because NZD and Aussie dollar have been pretty weak themselves, not so much that USD's been strong. But we're seeing a similar pattern here. You can kind of see that head and shoulder pattern in play there. Nice area supply just above us. I feel like if you can come back and retest that, that'll be a nice place for a short, at least for a push back into the low here. Don't necessarily have to look for the home run back into the low, but that makes a bunch of sense to me. You've got prior highs 1, 2, and possibly a third. Somewhat of a trend line coming to play there as well. And again, similar to Aussie dollar, if we can see the break of this low, I think that really does increase the probability of us coming back into the low here. So if you see a strong break of that, especially if you're on an intraday time frame, I think 50-minute and below, looking for pullbacks on the way down, look like a really good opportunity to take advantage of that and a push into the low there. So yeah, pretty bearish for New Zealand dollar. I'll keep an eye on the retest here. This is a bit more of a swing idea. If you're focusing a bit more momentum, I'd see if we can break support there and get a continuation, because we've been very, very corrective in this ascending channel. And of course, we did see a pretty nice break of that last week. So the idea is, can we see the continuation, which could take us back to lows? That's simply all I'm looking for. In terms of gold, it's been extra choppy. So yeah, I don't really have too much to say about gold, in all honesty. It's not a pair on my watch list this week. A few other markets look a little bit more exciting. But again, I can understand maybe in the lower time frames there will be some volatility, there will be some movements back and forth, which certainly if you're looking for kind of mean reversion opportunities, I do think there can be some nice trading opportunities there for gold. But from a 4-hour perspective, especially from a swing perspective, this is not the best place to be looking for entries. I want to be focusing my efforts at the lows or at the highs. That's the only two places I want to be looking to take trades. And at the moment, we are slap bang in the middle. So we're neither near resistance, neither near support. I can't really do too much right now with gold. So the bias is still the same. Look to buy low, look to sell high. But of course, we need price to be trading at those areas to actually get those opportunities. So until we get there, I'm not really going to say much on gold in terms of what I'm expecting or the next move. Sure, there might be some smaller time frame opportunities, and perhaps we do take a look at the lower time frames later for gold, but on the 4-hour, not much to report on there. And for silver's an interesting one. I mean, I'm still looking to see if we can get a push lower, but at the moment, I'll probably say we're starting to range here as well, back and forth. I'm kind of waiting to see which way silver does pick in terms of direction. If we clear the highs well, then perhaps silver is just going to continue where it left off and continue back to highs. If we do break to the downside, then of course I'm looking for a swing into the low here. And perhaps the big level I talked about on the weekly stroke daily chart could be looking to come into play for a big swing trade. I really like this level for like a long-term buy. Very convincing break. No retest of the level when we did have the breakout. So if price would be kind enough to come back and retest the level, I think that would be a really nice place, especially if you're looking for like a long-term swing. That would make a lot of sense there. But at the moment, silver's kind of back and forth at the moment, so I wouldn't really look to do too much in that area until I can see like an established break outside of that. And then, yeah, I'll be looking at push the highs or push the lows, depending on the direction.